Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. Eileen Delrossi, my co-host, is on the phone. How are you, Eileen?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you doing, Cliff? Good morning, Marty. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Eileen.
And Eileen just introduced our guest, Marty Lorrey, who's retired from what has got to be the best post office in the United States.
Lowell?
Lowell?
Yeah, it was good. We had a lot of fun. I enjoyed my time there. I did, 35 years, and it was good. It was a good career.
It's not like there's some post office out in Texas being sued for racial discrimination because they're not delivering the mail to somebody.
There's reasons why you won't. They've had, I know in some of the larger inner cities, they've had problems in certain neighborhoods with gangs and whatnot. And over the years, you'll read that the carrier will stop delivering. If you feel that you're in danger, you don't have to go into those areas or into those yards or homes.
This is a businesswoman. But they're, even though the post office is sort of a quango, they're claiming sovereign immunity and saying, you can't sue me.
Oh. Yeah,
Go ahead.
The ones that used to always threaten now this goes back 30 years ago when I first started, 40, I think the greeting card companies used to threaten to sue the post office. Every time the rates went up, it hurt their business.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, I don't think they ever actually filed suit, but there was always a card company here or there that would threaten.
Yeah. So we also have our producer, John McDonough. And John likes to talk about the weather. It's cool, but pleasant, I thought, coming in.
It wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
No.
So, looking back in history, in 1662, King Charles II of England sold Dunkirk in France to Louis XIV of France for 40,000 pounds. I think Louis got a good deal.
He did.
Yeah. In 1777, in the American Revolutionary War, British General John Burgoyne, Gentleman Johnny, surrendered his army at Saratoga, New York. And in 1781, wrapping up the American Revolutionary War, British General Earl Cornwallis surrendered at the Siege of Yorktown. And yeah, come on in and join us. We're being joined by Jose Cervantes, who stopped by Dunkin' Donuts doing the job that Eileen's supposed to be doing.
Picking up the slack, Eileen.
Yeah.
Picking up the slack.
Wait, who is this?
Jose Cervantes.
Jose. Oh, I appreciate you, Jose. I couldn't ask for anyone better to pick up my slack.
In 1814, 8 people died in the London beer flood. A 22-foot-tall wooden vat of fermenting porter burst. The escaping liquid dislodged the valve of another vessel and destroyed several large barrels. So between 154,000 and 388,000 gallons of beer were released. 8 people died, including 5 at a wake. So, you don't let that kind of thing happen in your operation, do you, John? Beer floods?
Move it right along, Cliff.
All right.
Nobody cares.
I thought it was really interesting.
I know you did.
In 1907, Marconi began the first commercial transatlantic wireless service.
Hey, you know, Marty
I doubt it.
Okay. Thought that was a good story.
It is. It is.
1931, Al Capone was convicted of income tax evasion. 1933, Albert Einstein fled Nazi Germany and moves to the United States. In 1970, the FLQ terrorist operation murdered Quebec Vice Premier and Minister of Labor Pierre Laporte. Things were a little dicey up in Canada in 1970.
Who was the FLQ? Was that the separatist?
Yeah, the Quebec Federation for Liberation
Yeah.
of Quebec.
I thought so.
But, that's why now in the French military, if you're going to advance, you have to be able to speak English and French.
Years ago, if you remember, during the hockey games, the Canadian games, especially in the playoffs, they had a singer who was very good, but he sang the national anthem at the end. He would always add, how's it go? For liberty or for freedom and liberty. Anyway, it wasn't part of the national anthem, but to the separatists, that was the last. That was a part of a thing they wanted on. And he would add it, and the Montreal fans would go wild, and it was great.
Yeah, I'm glad they finally figured that out up there. In 1973, OPEC imposed an oil embargo against countries they deemed to have the highest, deemed to have helped Israel in the Yom Kippur War. I was in Thailand at this time, but it impacted us over there. I got a lot of flying hours, and the young guys got very few. 1979 was the establishment of the Department of Education, which I don't think did anything for us.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1938, Evel Knievel was born, American motorcycle rider and stuntman, who passed away in 2007. 1910, Julia Ward Howe passed away. She's the one who wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic, which I think is a real rouser. 1991, Tennessee Ernie Ford passed away, singer and actor. And in 2024, Mitzi Gaynor, actress, singer, dancer, passed away. She had been born in 1931. She had a pretty good run of it.
Yes, she did.
And this is the feast day of Ignatius of Antioch, and it's International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. So, so here we are. We have an approach to peace in the Middle East. Does anybody think it'll last?
Well, the past couple of days have been tough with the executions. I don't know, we have Terry Downs on the radio tomorrow to really go through who these groups are. But
Who else is on the radio tomorrow?
it's
Why don't you
7.
give out the whole lineup, so
It's 7 o'clock. We have Erin Gendron coming in. She just started a new blog on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, so we're
It
gonna.
doesn't say much.
Well, it's good because I do. Lowell's
She didn't really say much.
Lowell's unique. It has the Lowell Sun, but it has the radio station. It has City Life. It has Richard Howe Jr. and now it has Erin Gendron blogging. So for people who really want to try to keep up with what's going on, a weekly read or a daily review, and I'm sorry, Inside Lowell, my friend Teddy Panos, Inside Lowell, you can go to Facebook, you can look at this show, it's on basically 24 hours, you record it, and the same with Inside Lowell, they record their shows. So if you're looking for information on the city, on the elections, or basically what's going on in the world, in some of these shows, like Cliff just introduced, it's a good time to tune in. Lowell's fortunate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will last. Terry Downs is coming in tomorrow, and Hamas, I guess, executed
What does Downs do?
a group of people this week. Now, whether they were working with the Israelis or I don't know why the executions took place. Donald Trump has come back and said basically there'll be hell to pay if they continue. My guess is he'll let the Israelis go back in. But it's too bad. You know, they opened up borders, food's going in, medicine, aid, critical aid is going into these areas. But groups like Hamas, you know, you can't, how do you sign a deal with someone who's not a country? They don't have they don't really, they might have a leadership, maybe, but how do you sign agreements with them? There's nothing for them to hold on to or stand with. So we'll see.
And how much of that leadership is even left?
Right.
And that's the thing, so.
Marty, who is Terry Downs?
Terry worked at the courthouse for years. I don't know if he was, I don't know, like a magistrate. He was very high up in the courts. And then when he left, he went to Middlesex Community College. And he's been there for years. But he's become an expert in really international affairs, wars, things like that. And
A
we
little
bring
like Greg Pappas.
What's that?
Like Greg Pappas.
No, Terry's a little bit more, I don't know if he teaches or if he still teaches, but no, he's very good.
Oh, good.
Terry and I yesterday we were talking about exactly what we're talking about here. And we went through a history lesson of wars, how wars change, what weapons come into wars, how certain wars, certain tactics will change, armaments are introduced. I said, you know, I used to think the Soviet Union and the United States loved regional wars because they would introduce some of their newer armaments, you know, with no harm to themselves.
I think tanks are going out. I'm going to ask Cliff, does he think tanks are going out?
You know, what's happening in the Ukraine, and I saw in the paper this week, and more to Cliff would know, they want to buy fighters from the companies in the United States. It seems drones are doing more harm in Russia and in the Ukraine. Drones seem to be the wave of the future. Very inexpensive. They can get into areas. They're very, very, very efficient. So I can see the need for planes, but in this war, what I've taken away from is drones.
Well, what they've been successful at doing is taking tanks out from the top.
Yeah, exactly.
Cliff, what are your thoughts on the tank of the future?
Tank has got to adapt, and otherwise it'll disappear from the battlefield. Drones in Ukraine are very effective because they're cheap.
Right.
And we're not doing a very good job in the United States of developing cheap drones. In Ukraine, you find drones are being made in people's garages by hobbyists, and they're doing a good job of it. And
What would you say
they're
the drone
innovative.
failure is?
What?
The drone failure rate. I'm told it's quite high. Like 50% of the drones that go up don't do anything. They're not effective.
I would say that if you're thinking that the drone has got to take out a tank every time it flies, yeah, you got a high failure rate. But the mere presence of the drone in the air is going to have an impact on the other side. And it'll give confidence to the people on your side.
Especially if they're being so cheaply made and
Yeah.
people are making in the garage, even if only 50% of them are effective, I'm sure compared to the cost of a fighter or anything like that, it's more than worth it.
And there's not a human being inside,
Exactly,
you know?
so-
They've taken out a lot of Russian soldiers. I think civilians too.
Look at the attack they did with when they brought all those crates in with the drones in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, especially with a country like Russia, that's a huge deal.
It scares you here because you see the turmoil in this country with some of the protesters, how they've become violent. And I always try to relate to what's going on now, back to the 60s, some of the groups we had, SDS, Weathermen, and the tactics they used. And I didn't know it until Cliff said it, some of these drones are being made in garages. So you wonder what they could do in this country. And it'd be interesting going forward.
Drones are costing hundreds of dollars to make. A fighter is going to cost you 15, 30, 35 million dollars.
Yeah.
So you can afford to waste a lot of drones.
Do they still have that show every year? I think it was in France where the different countries went in with their planes, and they would have this big field day where countries could go in, and you'd have all these military companies that made military weapons there with their planes, and you could buy them, put an order in. Do they still have that?
Yeah, the Paris Air Show at Charles de Gaulle Airport.
Okay.
I actually saw Charles de Gaulle at the Charles de Gaulle Airport.
Did you?
Yeah, Martha and I showed up early for the Paris Air Show, and we were idling around, and his limo pulled up, and they got out and did a tour. And that was a long time ago.
Quite a character.
So, but Marty's touched on the fact that Hamas is out trying to reassert control over the people. And I think that the Gazan people have had a taste of freedom.
Yeah.
That Hamas was an enforcer of rules and had tamped down that freedom. So it's going to be interesting. The tweet that President Trump put out on Truth Social reads, if Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and kill them. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
You know, as you said, I think what they've tried to do or present themselves as the new police force in the Gaza Strip. But what they're doing is they're taking certain groups or certain people, and I think to your point, you're right, that they're trying to assert control, not be the policeman in the area, you know? And it's going to be interesting what Trump does.
Yeah. This has got a long ways to go.
Oh,
this,
absolutely.
Peace operation. So, so just before we go on, because I know that Trump is a little sensitive about this, or my sense is he is. Do you think he got enough praise for having moved things so far?
I was surprised at the number of countries, the quarters of the world where they looked like all 5 or 6 continents were there. I was really surprised, but when you look at the Middle East, how explosive it is, probably where the Third World War may come out of if it ever does, oil, which is the really the bloodline of the West. I'm not surprised in a way that many of these countries were there. I was kind of surprised Turkey was there. I was surprised Pakistan got up, and I think they said they were going to put him in for the Nobel Peace Prize. India and Pakistan, they talked about a nuclear, they both have nuclear weapons, and they're not very friendly towards each other. They gave Trump a little bit of credit for bringing some stability there. I don't know if it's true, but I was surprised with some of the speakers.
I'll say this to Cliff's point. You know Diane Keaton's dead, right?
Yeah.
You know what she died of? You know what all her family's names is? The media is plastering us with Diane Keaton's passing like no other celebrity, just because they don't want to put that Trump got world peace in his mind. That's my takeaway.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I didn't look at it that way, but I think even here at home that we are so divided that, okay, you don't agree with everything he's doing, that's fine, but he did something where
That's good.
he was able to, you need to be able to praise the good, and obviously you want to continue yelling and all that, that's fine, but stop for a second and appreciate what just happened, that the hostages were released, that at least there's something on paper, something tangible, where it's like, maybe it won't be 100% total peace. You were just talking about the executions and Hamas trying to assert their dominance again, but there's something to work off of. Like, give them some credit for that, you know?
It's interesting, while they were planning this meeting and this peace process, there was the demonstration in Boston which turned violent, where they attacked the police department, pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, and so you have the peace treaty, but you have these people in Boston with this, I don't think they pulled permits, there was a protest which turned violent when they attacked the police. So you've got to wonder where their methods really are, their motives, you know?
Is it more politically fueled, or is it more actually caring about the Palestinian people?
And then tomorrow you have the No King's Day. Now, did anyone go by or look at the pictures from the last No King's Day? It looked like it was the only protest I've ever seen in Tweed. A lot of people, you saw a lot of well-off people. And looking at the signs, a lot of them were artists or very well-educated with these homemade signs. But it came to me as I look at, what are they protesting? The cuts in the budget, the cuts to the arts, I'm looking at it, but I'm saying, boy, these are the well-behaved. You have a right to protest. But I was wondering what the true motive for some of the people were in No King's Day.
I see what you're saying, where it wasn't just like, we're protesting this part of it, we don't agree.
Oh, they were all well-dressed.
Whatever, but it was more like protesting the man, not the policy.
The policies, to me, it was more protesting the cuts. That's what's bringing this in. I went through one in a city, a wealthy city, on a motorcycle, and the people were very nice. They weren't so close to my bike, holding signs, screaming at me. But that. I'm saying, boy, these are really well-dressed people. I got a good up-close look because they were walking towards my motorcycles with signs,
Older people, too.
Older people, yeah. And that's what surprised me, what made this different, so.
So we do have a No King's Day tomorrow.
What
from
is No
2 to
King's
4.
Day? In your mind, Cliff, what's No King's Day?
It is a progressive demonstration series protesting Donald Trump on the belief that he wants to be the king.
Okay, Jose, what's your,
I was going to say, Brittany, what they call it, an anti-fascist.
who's the they?
Well, the far, the super progressive people that just see Donald Trump as a existential threat
Not
to our
members of any
democracy.
party, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Marty, what's your takeaway from the word King's Day?
The same thing. He's trying to make himself a king in the country, which I don't think he can. But I think the progressives in this country are looking for any reason to protest Trump. It was an election, and for a year prior to the election, this was a cultural war. This was something I haven't seen in 50 years, and I was a kid. But this isn't about politics, it's about culture in this country. And when I saw the No Kings protest, and I saw, as Cliff said, the older people, well-dressed, I said to myself, these are the kids of the 60s, and they're in tweed and nice clothing. And so it came to me that they may be protesting more the budget cuts than anything else.
My takeaway from the whole crowd is, it's the dying off party people. Like Republicans, they're all old. Democrats, mostly old people. They're not getting the the masses in there anymore. And the Democrats, as you probably remember from the last time Trump was president, it was resist, resist, resist. And when you ask the uppy Democrats about, what's this resist mean? They go, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Resist? I don't. So they'll lie right to your face, and they'll be writing a check to resist. So I see it's the same group, but their kids ain't going along like they used to. Back to you, Cliff.
Okay. So, I'd like to tell you where the No Kings Day protest is going to be, but you have to sign up and join the group for them to tell you where they're going to meet. So, but I typed in No Kings Day and Lowell, and sure enough, that came up. So you can go find out where it's going to be.
So they don't have a permit then? Because that would be public information.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
You're going to have a couple of hundred people there, you should be pulling permits.
Well, does the city post that on a
Um,
computer?
Permits, I don't
Or do they
know.
put it on the chicken coop outside the building? You know that chicken coop? They have
That
on the
would be
outside of the
one if
building?
you called, if there was a permit, you could find out, because you usually get permits for parks and things.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. To me, I think it would be a good question. Is there permits being pulled if you expect that many people? I don't know. Like I said, the biggest one I saw was I rode through on a motorcycle, and the people were very nice. I wish they, most of them stayed on the sidewalk. Every once in a while, someone would walk towards my motorcycle and hold a sign, but not that close, but close enough I could notice what they were wearing, the chick boots, the tweed, and the nice hats, and, I get a kick out of it, so.
As long as they're being peaceful.
That's, again,
It-
yeah.
It's your.
Yeah, but it's not okay you walking around in the street.
Well,
It's
yeah.
like, I mean, look at the.
Only a couple did, only a couple. Most of them stayed on the sidewalk.
I understand, but it bothers me that at the end of the connector, we have people standing at the end of the connector in the roadway. It
Yeah,
bothers me that they step into the roadway at the lot overpass, and the police just look the other way.
one of the things when I went after panhandlers on the city council, I was always afraid, and Plain Street's one is, in the wintertime, where the car skids a little bit, and you hit one of these people, who's responsible?
You are.
You are. You're pulling up through into downtown Lowell, you come to a set of lights, and someone walks in front and they bump the car, you're gonna be the one that they pull into court, And to me, it was a safety issue, but what do I know?
Well, that easy gets twisted into, your anti-panhandler.
I was, believe me,
Yeah, but
I was attacked by several groups,
No, I believe
that
it.
was okay too.
I believe it, and that's the thing. We're so quick to not hear what somebody's saying. We hear what we want to hear to turn their words around and
Right.
push our own narrative. Like, cut it out, Because that's a valid point. I mean, it wouldn't take much to, especially coming off the connector there. I
Yeah.
drive a big old truck, and there's been times where I slide over there. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta start braking the second I take,
Yep.
So, easily.
So, we're in a government shutdown. Post office is still up and running. They're
Yeah.
getting paid.
Yep.
But Lori Trahan was in town, I think, yesterday, teamed up with CTI, saying that the budget's completely unsustainable, local impact on healthcare. So it turns out the Affordable Care Act was not affordable.
That's when this is going to play out. It's interesting. Everyone's blaming the other side. The Republicans are not going to give that much money to illegal immigrants that the Democrats want. There's some of the spending items they want the Republicans are saying no to. But they're pointing the fingers, wait till November, because November is open season. And that's when you're going to see the rates. And that's when the most of Americans, I think, will take note of what's going on, if it lasts that long. But if these rates skyrocket, I think politically, the midterms of next year could hurt a lot of people. And who do they blame?
Yeah, I think that's the interesting question. Who are they going to blame?
Right. Right now, the Democrats really don't have a leader. Chuck Schumer seems to be more concerned about AOC running against him. And, you know, there's really no leadership in the Democratic Party. And they need someone to come forward. And I don't think people listen to AOC and Bernie Sanders. They had that big tour. And they just didn't seem to get a hold of a lot of the public opinion. So I don't know who the Democrats turn to. Shapiro's the governor. He's not down in Washington. So he may be their best choice, but how much attention will the governor get in this?
Now, J.B. Pritzker in Illinois and Gavin Newsom in California are making a lot of noise.
But Newsom's been an embarrassment. Everything he does turns sour. And even in his own state, people aren't happy. So I think there's a lot of good Democrats. I really do believe that, but who comes forward as the moderate or or at least someone who can come forward with the message and get it across? And
You pointed it out. I think you were with Jerry on the Daily Post the other day, where even Markey here is back in Cortez now, just because he's going to be up for re-election. And I think that right now, at least on the optics of it, is she is the leader. You know, that progressive movement.
oh, she is. And
But does that leadership translate to votes? There is the you got a following on social media and people like to listen to your rants or whatever, but are people going to show up when, especially where I think right now we're in a state in our politics where we need somebody that's more centered, that is more moderate, that is more able to work across the aisle, because both sides have gone so far, at least you know the loudest voices in the room, where I think there's a need for somebody that can work on both sides of the aisle. I mean, have we seen that in a long time now?
No,
I don't think we have.
matter of fact, there's been a big debate, and I think Cliff would come in here too, is the socialist movement in this country. About 30 years ago, the socialists in this country, now I can't think of who the head of the party was, realized they couldn't win elections. So they were going to move into a party and work within a party, and it was the Democratic Party. Now, you know, there's so much talk about socialists, the guy running for mayor down in New York. But in 2016, Bernie Sanders, a former socialist who joined the Democratic Party, had a huge lead over Hillary Clinton, and until the party elders stopped him. 2020, Bernie Sanders had a huge lead until the party elders and the powerful Democrats stopped him, and Biden jumped in. So you have to wonder, and now you see what's going down in New York, has the party shifted to socialism? I don't know. Or not the party itself, but many of the people, the independents, the young people, is that what they're looking at now since COVID? During COVID, people were getting free money, free rent. You don't have to go to work. You can work from home. COVID changed so much, but prior to that, you had Bernie Sanders, and now with huge leads in 2 primaries, and now he's with AOC. And so you got to wonder where that party is.
At least from my perspective, too, I don't think Bernie was as, you know, back then in 16 or even 20, as, tread lightly here, but as extreme as some of these socialist candidates that we're seeing now.
No, he wasn't.
It's almost like, you know, there was a time where the word progressive was more, you know, meant more, you know, gay marriage, you know, legalized marijuana, things like that, when now the word progressive, that needle has moved so far. That a lot of the people that I was having a conversation with somebody earlier, and I've always been a registered independent, but, you know, kind of leaned a little bit more to the left. And now I look around and I'm like, holy smokes, I think I'm a Republican. Like, what happened? Like, I think, and I'm not just a Republican, I'm almost like, some people could probably almost see me as like, you know, like, well, because the parties have gone away from that center line, so, and I think if we can find somebody that is pretty close to that center line, obviously you're gonna lean one way or another.
Right.
That's just, let's be honest here, but I think that it will change the political landscape so much.
It would, and I think the Democrats are looking at Shapiro. Newsom, to Cliff's point, I think Newsom could win anywhere. Well, if Newsom ran tomorrow, he would win California, Oregon, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York,
Washington State.
Washington, Connecticut, and then it stops right there. It's over. He
I
might
gotta
get
read all these 6,000 texts we have here. Until we have an honest media holding the Democrats accountable, it won't get better.
I was gonna say Fetterman.
Fetterman is a free-thinking Democrat, but would never be supported by the established Democrats.
Before we move off of Fetterman, there's actually efforts being made in Pennsylvania to find someone to primary challenge him.
Yeah, they want him out.
Yeah.
Continuing with the text, the party is not going for the Obama's message when Fetterman is the voice of the reason you have problems. The loony left will continue to protest, throw a temper tantrum until Trump's term is up. How about the counselor in waiting, Joran? Her sign in her yard with all the people holding hands, and her sign in the middle is pretty bad. Last one for this group. How about counselor, the same thing. Sorry, repeat. Back over to you, Cliff.
I thought that was pretty clever, those little people holding hands. It's been there for a while in their side yard.
Do you get this many texts? Are you normally, John, or is it Cliff today?
There's no rhyme or reason, Marty. Someday we could have Jesus up there with Moses and nobody checks in. And then you get Bozo the Clown and Major Mud and 500 texts are coming in. See, there's no rhyme or reason. I got another text coming up.
Cliff is a rabble-rouser.
I'm a blow-in. I'm here to blow things up.
I will say, and I always I say this, Cliff is one of the most educated and experienced people I've ever met in the city. I thought George Anthes was good, but Cliff has so much experience with the military, his education, his background in the military in the United States and Europe, and I just think Cliff is just a wealth of information, and I love coming on with him.
They said that to him yesterday when we talked.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we were talking about the Hunger and Homeless Commission. It's like, I need you on there because, what you bring to the table, the knowledge you have, the ideas, it's like,
And he's quiet.
Yes.
He's quiet.
Yes, you can.
He's like the old bishops and cardinals who try to get their point across very
The
quietly.
fact that he taught at the War College is impressive.
It is, I think.
Not
you're
every
right.
time, try to get in there and teach.
Okay, we can't blow up Cliff that much. We need to keep him at a certain level. So all right, no more praising Cliff, guys.
Do you hear the
We
way
love
John
him.
talks to him any given time? He needs that praise.
I know. I think he's great too.
Well, no, Jose, just a second now. Tell the
John and I
audience,
have our own little rhythm, Cliff.
tell the audience something that happened in 1412.
What happened in 1412?
Oh, who knows what happened in
No,
1412?
tell us something interesting that happened in 1412.
1412.
I have no idea.
No, I'm asking Jose.
You're asking
Oh,
Jose.
Jose.
Was that when, yeah, that was when Christopher Columbus.
No, that was
No.
92.
No,
Okay,
92.
hey, I was one number off. Well, 1412. I don't know, that's where we got Cliff.
Well, wait a second. Was Christopher Columbus the big deal in 1492? Or was it the expulsion of the Moors?
The Moors made it possible.
Yeah.
The wealth that Spain had when the Moors were expelled. He was from Italy, and the Italians thought he was nuts. And it wasn't the first time he was in the court of Spain. He was there, 10 years earlier, and they laughed him out of the country. Then they expelled the Moors, and they had all this wealth. And, okay, this nut wants to go across the world, we'll give him 3 ships, we'll finance it. And he came back with a whole new world.
Going back to the Democratic Party, within the last week, I think I've seen a headline saying that half of college students believe socialism is better than capitalism,
Yeah.
which is another condemnation of higher education.
As I said, go back to 2016, 2020, and now you look at what's going on in New York. You spent many years in Europe, and if you go to Europe and there's an election, you probably have, 12 different parties, 10 different parties on the ticket. And socialism isn't something people are afraid of. The United States always said, well, we want to promote capitalism, but I think the United States has always promoted free trade, open markets. And that's always been the big thing. They'll talk about democracy and religion, but I think open markets has always been the key for U.S. Expansion. And that will never change, at least in my lifetime.
Do you
So-
think that COVID, sorry to interrupt you, but you brought that up earlier, you mentioned it. Do you think that COVID and, like you said, people working from home, people getting, all this money and different things, do you think that that boosted the ideology of socialism?
I don't know,
Because to a degree, going back to 2016, going back to 2020, the idea of socialism, and when people were calling him a communist and all that, it wasn't because he was he just wanted universal health care and free community college for all. Like, that was the extreme.
it
in
was
16
because of
and
the
in 20.
cost.
Like,
It's not that it's an extreme
no, I'm
idea,
saying
but
compared
it's,
to today, like,
feasible,
that was the
right.
extreme. Like, that was like, oh, no, you want universal health care in America. Like, how dare you? And now, like you said, it's all...
I thought the left would throw him out because he did want free health care, he did want free education, higher education. But when it came to an issue like gun control, he's totally against it. You can remember, he's from Vermont, which is a big hunting state, and I don't remember Bernie Sanders ever being big in gun control, so they really had to work around that. I don't know what the expansion of the idea of socialism is. Maybe it's the complete breakdowns of the parties. In Massachusetts, unenrolled voters are now the largest block.
Which is crazy because we are, I was at the State House when the commencement of the new Senate, and they were joking that they gained 40% more seats because now they have 4 seats to Republicans. So you would figure in
Right.
a state where, one party at least registered is in the majority, it'd be more of a level playing field.
You'll see it come out this year, next year. Seth Moulton is running against Markey. Now, Markey ran against Kennedy, and they were both saying, oh, we're the most progressive, we're the most progressive. They were limiting their votes to the Democrats who would come out. If I'm on Seth Moulton's team, I'm whispering in their ear, listen, we want to get through the Democratic primary and beat Markey. We have to get the unenrolled voters to take a Democratic ticket and vote for Seth Moulton. Now, how do you do that? Because if you just leave it to the Democratic Party to vote, and I want to prime rib dinner off John on this one, Markey's going to get back in, which I did legislative work. I thought Markey was fine. I didn't have a problem with him. I thought he was pretty good. But if I'm on Seth Moulton's team, I'm in the background whispering, how do we reach out to unenrolled voters? How do we get them to the election day polls? And how do we get them to pull a Democratic ticket? Because the Republicans have 3 people running for governor. And so the people will be pulling Republican tickets to vote in that.
Do you think there's an opportunity now with everything that's happening with the governor, with, even something as simple as the mass save, with these contracts that are coming out where, somebody was going to get the contract for $600 million, but you gave it to a friend for that. Do you think there's an opportunity there not to go against a certain party, but to go against the establishment? I think we need to start focusing more on whether it's Republican or Democrat, and giving the power back to the people, and maybe we can get, voter
When
turnout
Marty
back
responds, I
up.
got 6 more
If I'm a
messages.
Republican, I'm going to highlight Diane DeSoglio. The people
awesome.
voted, I'll get her on the radio, the people voted to let her audit the state in a certain way. She's being held up by the Attorney General, and I would use that example. If Diane DeSoglio was able to audit more efficiently, would this be brought out?
And the hard part too is that, and you guys know me, I've been screaming voter engagement from day one. But the problem is that we have these state reps that could have pushed through legislating to get the audit. They're telling their constituents, hey, elect me, I'm going to, vote for the audit.
Jose,
So let's get the hell out of there.
The guy who runs the House, he'll just say, look at Jose.
Right.
Then let's get
You
him the
open
hell
your big
out of
mouth, I'm taking away the Rourke Bridge money.
Yeah.
Right.
no. Or-
That's all he'll say.
Well, you're
And
not
that'll
gonna get a
shut
seat.
you
You-
right up.
You know
You're
what
not
I've been
going to get a
hearing?
good subcommittee seat.
And we just seen Ryan Oates released an article on that, which was great in my sense, from where I stand, because what we're seeing, and again, at least public perception. Oh, I'm gonna vote with the audit, but then you get in there, you vote no, and all of a sudden you have a handful of appointments, and now you're making more money.
I'm going to
So
give you a bill that I believe the House wanted and the governor. There was a bill that came through, and I had Colleen Gary on the show, to push back the penalties for cities and towns that didn't meet the MBTA requirements
Yes.
to 2026. I believe Colleen Gary was the only person in this area to support it. Now, the late Eddie Kennedy seat's going to come open, and there'll be people running. If I'm in Drake, who still haven't met the MBTA requirements, that's a big question for me when the candidates come in. Why didn't you give us the opportunity to extend it one more year? And I don't think Tewksbury's met it either,
We're gonna
so.
read all these texts now.
Sure.
The optics of the sign are gimmicky. What does it mean? Free healthcare, free education. How do you pay for it? It's free, 37 trillion and counting. Cliff is the best host. That's from DW.
I paid
What
for
hap-
that.
No, I don't think so.
I
What
want
happened in
$5 when we get off
1412,
the air.
I'll bet no global warming talk. The Democrats had the
Eileen
main,
Delrossi.
the Democrats had the best main media push. Their silliness, their youth aren't watching the lamestream media. They get their info on social media. And the last one, did anybody go to Eric Gitch's party?
No, so I owe him some money.
As the person that was 5 minutes late, he went and had a little too much fun.
I've been staying away because I do the radio and I don't want to seem partial. That's been the biggest
I
thing.
love going to them. I couldn't go last night. So was it, you went last night, Jose?
Oh, yeah, packed house, too.
Yeah.
It was such a good event. Good food, too. Good conversation. It was,
I couldn't get out of here, so
oh, no.
sorry I missed it.
It was a good time. I was looking for you. Once I walked in, I'm like, I know John's very here.
Yeah, I'd love to be there. I'd love to film the speech, put it on Facebook.
Yeah.
He's,
Sorry.
I appreciate you doing that, because like I say, I do the radio, so I don't want to seem biased. So I've been staying away.
How would it be biased if you went?
Because if I went to Cliff's fundraiser and I didn't go to yours, and you guys
Tough.
are running.
Tough.
People take it personal, John, let me tell you.
Let them.
I know.
I mean,
It's just, that's something
I remember back on the radio days, I'd do something with George Anthes, and George would say something, I got blamed for it. Or I'd say something, and George get blamed for it. It's the same thing with the TV gig. Cliff will say something, and they'll paste me to the wall for it. Hey, it's part of it's a show.
I
Let
got
it
two
go.
signs on my lawn, and I haven't really reached out to anyone in the council, but I have Bobby Hoey's sign and Dave Conway's. Dave doesn't have an opponent, and Bobby's been a lifelong friend. I love the guy, you know? So those are the signs I have on my,
Wait,
the whole Hoey family.
Dave Conway's got a write-in opponent.
Oh, that's right, too, yes.
Because
Yes, he
it
does.
Was Sherry Barbosa?
Yeah, you're right, yeah. No, I
I
think,
want to go back
I
to
think she's
some-
on the ballot.
Well, she's on the ballot running against,
Kim.
against Kim.
But she pulled
Scott.
out nomination papers for school committee, too.
But she didn't get enough signatures.
Oh, she didn't?
she's
Okay.
That's my takeaway, I could be wrong.
Yep.
But speaking of getting on the ballot, before we close out the hour, I wanted to talk about Ed Kennedy. Were you on with Ed Kennedy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, that was really sad, young guy.
Yeah, Ed's been around since the 70s, a real political cat. Eddie could swim the waters. The two best I've ever seen, three in this area, were Marty Mean, Stan Panagiotakis, and Eddie Kennedy.
Yeah.
They knew how to swim the waters better than anyone else I've ever seen. And Eddie personally was a nice guy. I used to see him down to the Copper Kettle with his friends. A lot of fun. Speaking of remembering, Wally Sheehy passed away, and there was one other one. Molly Sheehy, great in the city. She did a lot of work with a lot of people. She helped a lot of people, along with her late husband, Paul. And the Sheehy's family's been instrumental here in the city for so many years. If you look at South Campus, those buildings over there wouldn't be there without Paul Sheehy as a state rep. The state was looking to build small colleges in inner cities, and Paul was a force down in the acre. And I know when Molly went to Middlesex Community College, she helped just so many young people coming through the city and through the college. And it should, just bring up Molly and where we're talking about Ed. Two people who were great here in the city.
Ed's got to be replaced. The state's got until 21 October to make a decision on having a special election.
They have to.
And so then they'll set a primary date. I think at one level, it doesn't make any difference because Ronald Marino and Speaker Karen Spilka, they run that place like a slave gallery.
They do.
And, I mean, that's why Ed Markey's a senator,
Right.
because he was a rep, and he got dissed badly because he wasn't towing the line.
Right.
So he ran for Senate and won. I mean, didn't they move his desk into the hallway?
That year, Nikki Songus had won, and the party was down at the old Hilton Hotel on Warren Street. And I was standing next to Nikki, and I says, "You going to run for Senate?" "Oh, no." And I says, "It's wide open." And I says, "I really think you'd have a good shot." I thought she was, a good moderate. You go down to the 5th or 6th turn of the 6th district day, and a lot of Republicans were coming through, a lot of Democrats. She could work both sides of the aisle. She was very good. But at that point, I said, "You're going to run?" And she, "Oh, geez, I don't know." And I thought she would have been good. Markey, he's told to lie down in Washington with the Democrats, as they all have. And that's, as Jose says, there's no discussion down there. It's one side or the other.
So looking at people that might run, and this may spill over to the next hour, Rodney Elliott looks, in my mind, would be the most likely.
He's got about 70,000 in his campaign. Vanna Howard has about 70.
I don't see her running for the Senate.
I don't think she could win Pepperell. I don't think she could win Townsend
I don't
and
think she'll
Drake.
be able to keep her seat.
But she can still keep her seat, so she can
I
still
don't
run.
think she can keep her seat next time around.
I would say she's going to have an opponent.
What's she done?
The guy to watch in this, there's two people I'm looking at. John Drinkwater, who ran
Yep.
very good behind
Yeah, got
Kennedy.
a lot of union backing, yep.
A lot of union, and people tell me, well, he said he wouldn't run. I'm the one who predicted in January he wouldn't run for the council. The problem for Drinkwater is if he doesn't run now and say a young Democrat wins it, you can't really run against another Democrat. The other guy is Eric Gitchia.
The market difference in pay is the killer.
Right.
Okay, now, you take Drinkwater. John's probably making 150 to 200 grand a year. Are you going to cut it down to 60?
No, you don't make, in the Senate with House seats, with travel, you're making over 100 grand.
Okay, so if you're making 150 or 200,
I don't know if he's making that much. He's working for the unions, but I don't know if he's making that much.
okay, turn on the page to Eric Gitchia.
Eric Gitchia would be a very strong candidate. He'd be strong out in Drake. I think he'd be strong out in, and the thing here,
Can he absorb the cut in pay?
How much is he making running,
right,
$150? That's my guess. I don't know.
but another thing, say we
I mean,
ran,
$150,000, that's what I mean by $150.
say 3 or 4 of the people we just named ran from Lowell. They're going to split the vote, which opens it up for someone in the towns. Now, there's no strong, well, Colleen Gary's very strong, but there could be a business person out there who's looking. If they split the vote in Lowell, watch for someone from the towns to jump in and maybe win that primary.
Hey, we got more text when we come back from our break. We'll be back in about a minute. Thanks.
so,
No, after the special election, he has to pull papers in April to run in 2026 as a state senator, okay? So they're gonna have a special election, which will probably be in in January. Now, to become a state senator, you have to pull papers in April.
good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City Life Show. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. Eileen Delrossi, my co-host, is on the phone. Hello, Eileen.
Good morning, everybody.
And we have as our guests, we have Marty Lorrey at the far end, who's on temporary leave of absence from WCAP for this morning. And we have Jose Cervantes, who had run in District 7 for City Council, and didn't make the preliminary, but is not going away. And of course, we have our producer, John
And the
McDonough.
leftover text from the last hour. Where do you watch Marty's show? So Marty, rumor on the street is you're going to be the morning guy on WCAP. Is there any truth to this rumor?
We'll see what happens, okay? I'll just leave it at that. We'll see what happens.
So where could somebody watch?
We can't watch it, you can listen, it's 980, it's WCAP 980 AM. And the only time you can watch me other than here is Inside Lowell. I do podcasts with Teddy. I did one with Jerry Nutter this week.
How was
And-
Jerry?
Good. He's filling in for Teddy. Teddy's up in Canada.
Okay, learning
With the gr-
Canadian. Good for him.
He's up there with the group in Toronto and covering that for the city and for the people in the city. So Jerry's filling in.
And if you haven't watched the Daily Post with him and Jerry, that was a good watch.
Someone said to me, how do you become what are you going to do to be on the radio? And I said, well, first thing you got to do is you really don't have to care if people hate you or whatever. Excuse me, because I pulled my shoulder and neck out, so I'm but no, I enjoy it. I enjoy putting my views out there. I'm not afraid to throw my views out there, and we'll see where it all goes.
Well, the biggest problem I have
Marty,
with
can I ask a question? Do you know exactly what that whole group is doing up in Toronto?
I don't know. I know they're meeting with the UN people, and there was a whole group that went up from Lowell. And I think what happens is, Eileen, when you bring a presentation, you want it to be community-based, that it's not just the mayor or the city manager, that you have key players in the community who are behind this too, and are ready to throw their names and their political weight behind it. So I think that's why you have a lot of people from Lowell up there, to show that it's a community-wide idea, and that's probably the best way to do it, and the best way I can describe it. Bring the community up and say, we're ready.
Yeah, so you mentioned Teddy Panos is up there with them. Do you know anybody else?
Well, Teddy's covering for Inside Lowell.
Okay.
Steve Panagiotakis was up there. There were some names I heard that I haven't seen listed yet, so I don't know if they've spoken or taken part in the workshops, and I'll let that come out when it happens. I'll just say that.
And obviously the mayor's up there. He had missed the meeting.
Yeah, Dan
and then from just watching the city council meeting, I know that I heard Wayne Jeunesse was virtual, and as was Corey Robinson. So I'm wondering if one of them went or both of them went.
I know Corey went. Corey was supposed to speak. The CFO in the city
The manager's
is up there.
The manager's up there too.
Who?
Manager.
Oh, the manager, the CFO, I think the head of the DPD's up there. And I did see pictures, Steve Panagiotakis is up there. And, yeah, they've got a whole team up there, and they have a lot of leaders in the community up there too. And I think the idea, as I said, is to show that the community's behind this, and they're ready to go.
I'm pretty sure Chow and Yem are up there too.
Yeah, I believe he's up there too. Yep.
Sakari went up there.
And Sakari, yeah. I just haven't seen them on the pictures yet, but yes, you're right, they've all been up there.
Yeah.
Eileen,
Interesting. Yes, Clint.
were you able to talk to anyone in the school department about getting the flags to fly at half-staff when the governor orders it?
Oh, no, but I thought you would have sent an email out to the school department by now, because I know how on top of things you are with that.
Well, the Rogers School, they did lower the flag, but not immediately. The first day they were at work, they lowered the flag. It's kind of like LTC when a computer shuts off. The first day somebody goes back to work, they turn it back on again.
Cliff calls me on a Sunday, on that Sunday, it was October 4th. And Anthony and my son and I were waiting for a train back from Boston, North Station. Cliff says, you know where I am right now? And I said, no, Cliff, where are you? He says, I'm in front of the Lincoln School, and the flag is not where it's supposed to be.
There's a fellow down in Boston by the name of Powell, Powell, and he sends out an email every time we go for a flag at half-staff. And apparently not everyone's on his mailing list. I thought that it was a certain lack of respect for Senator Ed Kennedy to not have all the flags at half-staff, like Shed Park, Kittredge Park, and whatever that micro park is by the Portuguese radio station.
Yeah, that's in the center.
Yeah.
I think that might be the Eddie Santos Center. There's about 3 or 4 names there. Edward Lemire's there, but they have a park for Lemire. He got killed in Vietnam on Mill Street.
Back up to Canada. This is off Sakari Chow's page. We got the mayor is right here. We got Corey Robinson. Can't recognize this woman.
Department of Planning and Development, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. We don't know her name though, do we?
No.
Okay. Then we got the manager, Connor Baldwin. I don't know who this guy is. But we get more pictures. We'll see what else develops here. There's a person with a pointer.
Well, there you go. Connor Baldwin, Sakari. Sakari loves taking those pictures. My counselor, Corey Belanger, who I thought did a good job. I feel bad for Corey. Paul Rathiem. I don't know who that is.
Is that Dave Daly?
Yeah, yep.
Dave Daly,
I heard Dave was up there.
Corey?
Yeah, that would make sense because he provides all the in-district transportation for special needs kids. So I would think that's a perfect addition to that group for part of the community.
There's Tommy Golden.
That's
manager.
Melissa DeRosa. She's works
go.
in Tommy's office. Yeah, Melissa DeRosa.
Okay, Melissa DeRosa. Vice Mayor Paul Rathiem. And don't know who this guy is. Can't say who this guy is. Connor Baldwin. Corey Robinson. But the mayor's missing. And I haven't seen Teddy Panos yet, but we'll see. We got another slide to go to here. There's Stevie Pinichutakis right here, speaking
Yeah.
right here.
He's always key. You want to bring in Steve.
He's a great speaker. This is the mayor. That's the first slide again. So, okay, thank you to Corey. No, I'm sorry, Sakari Chow for putting pictures up there. Thank you.
So, the preliminary election,
Yeah.
I was surprised Corey Belanger lost. He was one of 4 running up in the Belvedere. He's
Yeah.
the incumbent. And in the other 2 districts with the preliminary, the sitting councilor came in second. To me, that's an indication that the natives are restless.
Well, 2 incumbents came in second.
2, yeah.
And again, go back to last January, I make my predictions, and I made them on Inside Low with Teddy. It's been a tradition for us. And I had noted on the council, you see a lot of 6-5 votes, key votes. And I said, there's different factions in the city and different ways of running. I said, if they could switch 2 seats, now they have 6, So you could switch the balance of power on the council. And I said the 2 areas where they'll run are Belvedere because of this, Corey was appointed. I thought he was vulnerable, and Paul Rathiem. In the Acre, unfortunately, you only need about 500 votes. So, to run an election in the Acre, so I said, those are the 2 council seats that I believe they'll target, and they did.
Well, I could be wrong, but I think Corey lost by 11 votes.
Corey,
Belanger.
you should be knocked out?
Yeah, on the preliminary, 11 votes.
Yeah, but he came in third, not first and second, to Cliff's point. So I think if this continues, you'll see a little bit of a balance of power on the council shift a little bit. Corey and Paul Rathiem were strong supporters of the mayor. I'm not saying that newcomers won't be, I don't know. But that was my prediction, is after watching council races in the city, every 4 years it's about the mayor's race. Well, I mean, the city manager for 2 years, so.
Do you think it hurt him that what was it, 2 days before, then you mentioned factions.
Yeah.
If you look at the 3 people that won and who they're backed by, and then, what was it, 2 days before the primary, they posted all over Facebook, Reddit, everything, that picture of Corey with the Trump signs, and they kind of pushed that narrative of like,
Well, yeah,
look
what-
who we are and look who you're going to vote if you put him in there. Do you think that hurt him?
What you want to do is get your
Significantly?
vote out, okay?
Yeah.
You've got to get your vote out. And if they think that will motivate people to go out and vote, but like John and I were saying, John said there's going to be no one at the election. So you want to motivate. This idea that you hear people, we've got to get voters out, we got to increase the vote, they're full of crap. What you want to do is figure out how many votes are going to be cast and how do you get your vote out.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. I don't care what people tell you about getting out the vote. It's about winning. And if they know they can get, there's going to be 10,000 voters, and if they can get out their vote, which is 4,000 or 5,000, they
Let's
get a
hope
good
there's
chance to
10,000
win.
voters. That'd be a
It's just a
big turnout. I'm
But
just saying,
that's
let's
just
hope.
but when I hear people say, we've got to get more voters out, how do we do it? What they're motivated by is getting their vote out.
Yeah, yeah.
And that percentage to win.
I mean, I've
So-
said it time and time. I don't know if you've heard me say it. I think I said it on here. I ran probably one of the, on paper, I ran probably the worst campaign that has ever been ran in the city.
No,
I really did. Like, on paper, boots on the ground and putting in the work, I'd like to think mine is up there. You know, maybe not the best one, but definitely. But on paper, because I didn't follow the norms with the managers, with the, target door
You have
knocking,
two
things like that.
factions in the acre going for those seats, and you weren't a part of either one.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the club.
And I didn't want to be. That was the thing. I
Okay.
had an opportunity because I
You didn't
needed
run a bad campaign, you went
No.
everywhere, you did what you had to do.
Yeah, on that
But
aspect of it, I think I crushed it.
When you
but-
get backed by factions, you basically have so many votes that they're gonna get out for you.
Yeah, no,
You didn't
no.
have that.
No, and I
You were
wanted,
your own person.
Well, I wanted it to be about me. I don't think I'd be sitting here right now, a month removed from the election,
Right.
if I had somebody chirping in my ear or following somebody else, sign a contract to follow somebody
Right.
else's agenda.
So.
So
But that's my 2 cents on getting out the vote.
yeah, no, you're right. Why would they
In
want?
addition, though, too, I mean, I think we should have more debates before the primary also, because even watching the little Youth Justice Alliance debates that they had between city council and school committee, I was thinking, wow, the community has so much on their mind with the questions that they came up with that I would never think of that are legit. So sometimes those debates help you realize, oh, this is what the community is concerned about.
We got two
and
next.
What's my view?
We got 2 next week, and I apologize, I've been doing debates on CAP, but people who know me know I get laid off from the bank, so the past month has been really crazy. I haven't been able to put the times, so I sent out texts this week, and next Tuesday, we're gonna have the acre debate, Paul Rath, EM, and Sidney Lang, and next Friday will be Belvedere, Danny Finn, and Judon. Belinda Judon.
Belinda.
That'll be next Friday.
Hey, I'm gonna
And
buy you with
that's
these-
been my problem.
With these 2 texts, how about the manager and city council clean up Bishop Markham? You think those people would be smiling if you took their picture? Move right along from Jeannie Balkus. Ms. McDonough, the lady is Catherine Moses, Director of Planning and Development. Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, the city has this new thing where you can sign up for a text. And I'm looking on the city's website to find out where you can sign up for a text to vote, and not coming up anywhere. So I'm gonna have to try to make time to call down to the guy who runs the election commission to find out where the link is to put it out there.
When you look at Lawrence doesn't have mail-in voting, and the state just took over the election in Lawrence this week. Probably within the past 3 or 4 days, the state have stepped in and they're running the election down in Lawrence.
Well, wasn't there something going on with some sort of fraud with the mail-in voting or something from last election?
I didn't
the
follow it.
primary?
Yeah, there was,
Because I get some friends on the council in over there.
yeah.
And I seen them posting about it.
I saw a post this, within the past 2 days, the state has stepped in and they're gonna run the election down in Lawrence, so.
Speaking of running elections, did you see where there's now a lot of talk about paper ballots on the part of Democrats since the Dominion voting machine operation was purchased by a Republican?
Oh, God, it's just so crazy. The sides will try to point fingers at anything. Yeah, I get sick of reading it, I just at this point, look who's running, and, I mean, we have a key election coming up in Lowell, Dracut, Tingsboro, Pepperell, in the state senate race. And they've already started talking about candidates. We were doing it before we went at 7 o'clock. And one of the interesting things, the Senate president has 30 days to call for an election, which they have to do. So you're going to have a primary, maybe Christmas Eve, who knows, so right in early January, and then 30 days after that, you'll have the general election. And then even if that's in February, whoever wins has to pull papers in April to run in 2022. 2026, I'm sorry. And it's funny, we talked about it earlier, the candidates, possibly Vanna Howard, Rodney Elliott, John Drinkwater, Eric Getchia, his name could be thrown in there.
Jerry Nutter suggested.
Rita Mercia, Jerry Nutter,
Dave.
Jerry
Dave
Nutter.
Nangle.
Dave suggested Dave Nangle might be
Yeah,
back.
I've been talking about Dave for about a year now.
reading this text, Corey knocked on a lot of doors. He had a problem all the back into the high school at Colley. Certain areas are not going to vote for him.
That's true.
Now, Jose, you said you did a lousy campaign. I'll tell you, the lousiest campaigner out there is, I hope he's not listening this morning, but there's a guy who went around and knocked on doors of people who never voted in the housing project. And he spent a goodly amount of time walking through the housing project in his district, knocking on doors, asking them to vote for him, and they never voted in their life.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I would have stuck to there's a list
Yeah.
of voters. Those are the people you knock on their doors. That's my takeaway. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, I definitely, no, I agree, because I was guilty of that too, where I didn't look at the list. I had a list and I just walked. Like, I didn't care where I was. I hit the acre. I'd start at one point and walk all the way home and then back. But I didn't, that's what I mean by I ran on paper a horrible campaign, because to me it wasn't necessarily about, I had 3 metrics to win. Get my name out there, and have
Jose,
people respect
to
me.
realize to the candidates that when you ask a non-voter,
Yeah,
will you vote for me?
No,
I just
absolutely.
think that it's as silly as asking them, you know those valve covers that you have on your tires? Do you have all 4 valve covers on your tires?
yeah, no, and like I
It's just as
said,
important to them as voting.
no, but sometimes even less. I had people, like, get mad at me for the second I said, like, oh, I'm running for local politics, like, get mad at me and, like, treat me like I was trying to steal their dog. Like, I'm not even kidding you.
People are
And-
sick of
believe you.
politics.
I believe you.
But I needed to get my name out there. Nobody knew who I was 6 months ago, 7 months ago.
I couldn't
you know?
believe how nasty people are.
Oof.
And until I walked around with Bud Caulfield, this has got to be 30 years ago, walking around with Bud Caulfield, and the nasty things they would say to Bud Caulfield. And you're not going to find a nicer guy out there than Bud Caulfield. But the
Yeah.
nasty things they would say to Bud's face, and they're like,
I got yelled at the other day. I was walking by and some guy's like, he called me an idiot because, according to him, the reason I lost the election was because I walked down the street smoking a cigarette. And like, he was like yelling at me, like mad, like he wanted to fight me. I'm like, listen, guy, I gotta get to the city council meeting, you know what? You go drink your beer and keep doing what you're doing, like I'm not gonna engage with you. But it was, no, people are sick of the politics, but you're not involved. Get involved and change something. If you don't, it's so
The
dumb.
funniest thing anyone ever said to me, I was up in New Hampshire in 2008 working on the Clinton campaign. I forget if I was in Nashua or Laconia. But anyway, I knocked at the door, and the guy came out, and these are Democratic voters. You know, you have the list. And I said, you know, I just asked you to consider voting for Hillary Clinton. He said, she can't win. And I said, why not? He said, she reminds everyone of their ex. And I said, that's the most devastating word. Now, fast forward, I bring that up on Teddy Panos' show on WCAP in the morning. And we've talked about it a few times. Several weeks ago, I'm reading Howie Carr's column, and it said allegedly someone said they knocked at a door, and the person said, she reminds everyone of their ex, and I felt like call and say, Howie, my name's Marty Lorrey, and it was said, you know, and it was said to me. But, so you never know what you're
How
gonna
about those people who
get.
think Elizabeth Warren, when they see her as a scold? I think Cliff is the one who come down with that one. When you see Elizabeth Warren, she reminds you of being scolded by a terrible teacher.
Yeah, what do they call it, Granny now or something, or, yeah.
What was the name of that program that, I know that Stacey Thompson went through it, and I believe Corey Robinson went through it, 2021, to help candidates
Oh, the CERT program?
and learn how to do campaign and so forth. I feel like that only existed for 1 year, and it was gone.
It's the CERT program. I did it last year. Or at the
Okay.
beginning of the year, I believe it was. Yeah, I did it, I just did it. I completed the CERT
Jose, this
programmed in.
person's talking about you. Unfortunately, Jose, you're a good person. To be involved in politics, you have to be a horrible, nasty, dishonest person. I don't think that's true.
We're trying to change that. We're trying to change that. And I know it's a big mountain to climb, but if we can open the door for the next, the people coming after us, then we did okay. We got to do better. If you guys have heard me say that line a million times, we got to do better. And it starts with you getting out and voting. Slackers.
Just if, very quickly, before we went on air, we were talking about the state senate seat and the people running, possibly running. And I think Vanner and Rodney each have about 60, 70,000 in their account. But if you get 3 or 4 people running from Lowell, you're going to split the vote, which means someone from the towns, and it doesn't have to be elected official, it could be a business person, a community person, put their name in, and if they can win the towns, they're going to win the primary. And so watch for that.
I like what Francisco said when he was sitting here with you guys, that, everybody needs to come together, which will never happen, and Lowell put up, 1 or 2 candidates and let them figure it out from there, instead of having 5 people from Lowell, chasing the seat. And we were talking before we went off air that I think, which I don't think he's going to go after it, but Gettier, he can get those votes out in Tingsboro, in Pepperell, because his affiliation with the school, just him being like, hey, this is my track record here, this is my track record in Lowell. I think that he would be
The hardest
I like
part,
Rodney. I'm not gonna.
I've worked in campaigns in the towns. You get up to Pepperell, Tingsboro, you really can't go door to door. The driveways are 50 yards long, they're half-acre lots, acre lots. Very difficult to do that type of campaign. Drake it, you can do it in a lot of areas, Lowell obviously, but the towns are a whole different ballgame. And I've never run in the towns. It's very difficult to get out there and introduce yourself. You have to do it at Demolis's or Market Basket, or find a place in town that's a coffee shop. And really, probably Eddie Kennedy was one of the best at this. I was helping Billy Martin in that first Senate run, and I get out to Pepperell. Everyone already knew Eddie because he went out there early. And Eddie was a good Democrat, so he knew everyone in the Democratic Party. And he went out and talked to those people first, Democratic leaders. And he had those towns wrapped up pretty quick, and I always gave Eddie credit. He would just chuckle, he had this cackle. But Eddie knew how to win, and Eddie knew how to talk to people. He really did. And but maybe that's if you're thinking of running now, is going out there talking to leaders in the towns, Democratic leaders, because you got to get through the primary. We'll see. But watch for someone from the towns to run.
No, I think you're right, because they can, like you said, especially if it turns into a heated battle here in Lowell, then, one of those towns could just swoop right in. And
Well, they did that. Remember, I don't know, Cliff, if you were around then, John, I know you were, when the congressional seats opened up, Lowell one year had a lot of people run. And I think Ray Rourke was one, the late Paul Sheehy may have been in that battle. Bob Hayden might have run, by that time he had moved to Lowell. And they had a lot of people running. And I think that was the year someone from Lawrence might have won the primary, and it might have been the reason why Cronin from Andover won as a Republican. That's the last Republican I remember owning that seat. But they split the vote pretty good up here. Yeah.
So, John, have you had Rebecca Duda on the show to talk about what's going on in Drake-it between the select board and the school?
No, we have not. I've enjoyed her company many times at Monday Night Dinner Club, and she's not ready to
Can I-
chit-chat about that. But let Eileen tell us more.
Go ahead, Eileen.
Oh, I just wanted to ask a question in regards to Diana DeZoglio and her fight towards getting what the people voted for the audit to happen. Do you think that there would be a difference if she changed her party from Democrat to Republican?
Boy, she may have to, because they're going to try to shut her out at the convention. To put your name on the primary ballot, I believe even on those seats you need 15%. Yeah, you do. You have to go to the convention and get 15%. My guess is the Speaker, the head of the Senate President, Governor Healey's crew, the Attorney General, you're going to be running as delegates in the next couple of months. They'll be picking delegates. They'll try to get as many many progressive candidates on as they can to shut out Diane DeZoglio at the convention. And if she can't get 15%, I don't know what she'll do. I don't know who they're going to run against her. But I think Diane DeZoglio has the people behind her. Again, she'll have to get the independents to vote on the Democratic primary to vote for her. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I know Diane, I'm going to call her to come on the show. I love her. I think Diane DeZoglio is great. She has stood up to the State House on many issues, and they're doing whatever they can to shut her out. She's in a battle with the Attorney General right now. The Attorney General, she won that ballot question. There were two ballot questions that they haven't really dealt with, and one is hers. And it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But you're right.
This is the first time this week I've actually heard anybody kind of critical of her, because she does always stand up for what is right. But I heard someone this week on a podcast mention, just come out as a Republican. She needs to just come out as a Republican, and that may help. But I don't know if that would help, right? Because, like they were saying, she ran in the tight circle with Andrea Campbell, the Attorney General, and Maura Healey, the governor, during the election year, when she was running for state auditor as well. And so people look at it like, is this a storyline and she's fighting against them, or will she actually just come out as a Republican?
That person might be right. Now, I'll give you my view on that. She's going to have a hard time, I think, getting 15% at the Democratic convention. I don't think the Republicans have anyone now running for state auditor, so she would have an open field to run it as a Republican. And her strength, I still think, lies in undocumented voters and unaffiliated voters. So she would have that going into the general election. More people have left the Democratic Party in this state over the past couple of years. Unaffiliated voters is the biggest voter registration now in Massachusetts.
Voter?
What's that?
Is that the unenrolled?
Unenrolled.
Independent?
Yep.
Why won't the Democrats let us be called the independents?
I don't know. But they're pouring out of the Democratic Party in this state the past couple of years. And I don't know who did the podcast, but that's an interesting thing. Run as a Republican, get the nomination, get on the ballot, take your fight why you changed. Because they don't like her anyway. They're not going to support her. And same with Seth Moulton. The Democratic Party has attacked him continuously over the past year or so. If Seth Moulton wants to win, he has to have the unenrolled voters pull a Democratic ballot and win, to win. And if I was, because Markey already beat Kennedy, but Kennedy stayed right in the Democratic Party. You got to get now in Massachusetts those unenrolled voters to pull a ballot, vote for you, and I think that would be Moulton's strength, and I think you're right. Eileen Delrossi is a Republican, that would be her strength.
Now, backing the bus up a little bit, Jeannie Balkus says that she made a mistake. This woman right here, this is sitting up in Canada on the stage when the mayor's talking, and her name is Giovanni Baez Rose.
Right.
That's who that is.
There's been so many changes at the...
Mistakenly identified, so Jeannie, thank you for letting us know. Back to you.
Real quick to this, it's sad that with 72% of the people voted for the audit, and that it comes down to, in order for her to keep her political career, she has to switch parties. So, and it was 300,000 votes Democrats lost in the last election. So that means either A, they voted Republican, or B, they didn't vote at all. 300,000 votes here in Massachusetts.
Looking at this text, the question is, why are they fighting so hard on an audit? They don't want to know, see where the money goes?
I mean, look at all the
You know,
stuff
they-
that's coming out.
One of the things she really pushed down at the State House was the non-disclosure fight. Remember that one? On sexual harassment. You had to sign the, and I'm doing a radio show one day, and they were attacking Donald Trump, you know, down in New York. He paid the woman off. And I said, what's the difference between what Donald Trump did and what they're doing down at the State House?
Yep.
The Democrats were using public money, if I remember right.
Yep.
They were. The Democrats at the State House were using public money for non-disclosure forms, non-disclosure payments. So I said, there it is in a nutshell. But Diane DeZoglio, I love her. If you've never met her and you have the opportunity to, she's great. She was a great state rep down in the Lawrence-Methuen area, a great state senator, and now I think she's doing a fabulous job as an auditor. And,
We've had her on the show.
she's fabulous.
Yep.
She really is.
I had somebody laugh at me the other day because, you know, same thing where the democratic machine, the political machines, and then I turned around and again, you know, simple-minded person here, and I say, yeah, but at the end of the day, when nobody's voting, their power is from us. It's like the bully that has never gotten punched in the face.
And before you
You're
start
big
eating
and
your
bad.
donuts, I'm going to read this message, and I'm going to read the announcements for the day. And
I got you that.
the girl on the stage is Catherine Moses. And apparently she's too much verbiage here. I can't say that word, sustainability director.
Okay.
Oh my God, I would hate to be, because you know what? I would cut that position just like a 5-year-old newspaper.
You know, this
What
thing
what
with,
is this, now, just a second, Marty. In your mind, when you hear the word sustainability, what does that mean to you?
you know, what it means to me is throughout this process with the UN, sustainability's been huge. They want
What is it?
You know, I think you
I
can
don't
do
know, that's
whatever
why
you
I'm
want
asking.
with
That's
it.
what I'm asking. Okay, go
But
over Jose.
the
Jose,
idea-
what does sustainability mean in your mind?
Being able to, you know, cut ties with, at least to me on the larger scale, instead of foreign oil, you know, so same thing
Before I
here.
ask Cliff, it means I know somebody at City Hall, I got a job. Cliff, what is when you hear the word sustainability, the sustainability director, what do you think that is?
That is someone who should be working on reducing our dependence on expensive activities and finding ways to meet the needs of the people without spending a lot of
Are
money.
you indicating they should have zoomed to Canada?
From-
Back
Based
over to you,
on my
Cliff.
experience with Zoom here, I would say no. On the other hand, based on my experience with Zoom in the Hunger Homeless Commission, piece of cake.
Okay, I got all these announcements I'm going to do as quick as I can, and I got to hit the shrink button here so it fits. Chesford Dog Park, October 18th, Saturday the 18th, that's tomorrow. 12 to 2 p.m., address is 52 Richardson Road. We'll have human treats, dog treats, a trunk decorating contest, and then they got, this is pretty good, Halloween, you're going to dress up your dog. Now, you can live in Tewksbury, you can live in Drake, she don't care where you live. Any dog, you can put any dog in a costume. She'd love to see you tomorrow. And again, at the Chesford Dog Park, 11 to 2, and the costume contest for the dogs, that's going to be pretty cool. Coming up at the St. Joseph the Worker Shrine. And they're going to have an all-day holy activity they're going to have on Tuesday, October 21st. They're going to have Father Ron Mayer there. He's a special guy from the OMI. And he's going to, the Mass begins at 8. It's going to go all day long. They have lunch. All kinds of good things going on. It's only $10. So if you're interested, take your fancy phone out of your pocket, take a picture of this slide. and consider attending. Danielle McFadden, she's having a party. Chris and Elizabeth Dick invite you to share a cup of caffeinated Danielle's campaign Friday, October 24th, 9:30 to 11 at the Coffee Mill, downtown Lowell, 23 Palmer Street. Your neighborhood meetings are right there. Take a picture of this. If you're interested, go to a neighborhood meeting. This is out in Tewksbury Senior Center coming up in the end of October. Sunday, October 26th, a delightful breakfast for only $10. You go in there hungry, you're going to walk out of there full. It's a delicious breakfast. I know all the good time to be had by all. Now, today is Friday, the 17th of October. So if you go to the Chinsford Senior Center, you're going to have baked salmon. And moving right along, if you go to the Drayton Senior Center, you're going to have a cheese omelet with turkey sausage. And if you go to Lowell, they have baked cod today. Lowell has lunch 7 days a week. So tomorrow at the Senior Center in Lowell, shepherd's pie. And on Sunday, stuffed shells. And going back out to Tewksbury, today you're going to have a cheese omelet, turkey sausage. And that's all my announcements, Cliff. Back over to you. Thank you for your patience.
Okay.
You know, I saw that thing from St. Joseph's that you posted, and it may not be politically correct in today's world, but I think today's the 97th anniversary of the miracle of Fatima.
Wow.
October,
Nice.
wasn't the 17th when the apparitions?
You got me flummoxed, but about now.
Yeah, I think it was the 17th from May to October was the apparitions. And today would be, if I'm right on the 17th, the 97th anniversary of the miracle at Fatima.
I'll
Yep.
ask Google.
Okay, you're going to ask Google. Good.
You'll probably get people texting, oh, you know.
We had somebody text a question, and we still haven't heard the answer. What happened in 1412?
Nothing. It was an agitation.
Okay.
But back up at...
Columbus sailed the ocean blue, of
That was
course.
1492.
Back up in Dragut. Apparently the school books accounting has not been as good as it could be. Just a second here. I've got a text from, this is from my brother. I thought it was from John Curtis. There's been some question about hanky-panky with the books, and the select board has put an item on for the town meeting, an article to have a forensic audit of school finances, and that's drawn some bad attitude. School Superintendent Steve Stone, through his attorney, has notified Taylor and Hodges of the town meeting of his intent to sue them for defamation of character and abuse of power.
Meanwhile, over in Fatima, it was close but no cigar, Marty. October 13th, 1917 is what Google's telling me.
Okay,
So very good.
so it was the
topic to bring.
13th, not the 17th.
Yeah.
But hey, very good. Thank you, Marty.
On social media, I've seen a lot of attention focused on Fatima, the old movies this week, and things like that. And so probably 4 days late with it, but it's been heavily covered in social media over the past couple of days.
Well, since one of the predictions was Armageddon didn't happen, it's been a little lackluster over there.
The best one I've read was the last warning to Sister Lucia that the final battle would be between marriage and, what was it, marriage and maybe the family, but marriage, that would be the final conflict between good and evil. I know marriage was part of it, so. But again, that's from social media, so.
Oh, you've come to the right show. Cliff and John are big about this. marriage and how nobody stays married anymore, and that everybody's quickly just skipping around, divorcing, or not even getting married. I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Well, Elaine, the thing I get a kick out of is if I'm single, sleeping with Ellen, my wife, if I'm sleeping with my girlfriend, we can work together in the state, the federal government, and the city. As soon as we get married, we can no longer work together. Traditional relationships are penalized by the government. Nobody looks at it that way.
That's true. I had, when I was in the Philippines, so this must have been 40 years ago, but we had a lieutenant navigator who was read in on a special project, the classified project, and I knew him. He had a girlfriend, Philippine girlfriend. He was sleeping with her, and that was fine. It didn't impact his security clearance or his special access. Then he went and he made an honest woman out of her. He married her, and so I had to immediately pull his special access because he was now married to a foreigner. Weird, but that's the way the rules are written.
I did Google it, the central issue, the conflict will center on the sanctity of marriage in the family, according to Sister Lucia's letter to the Cardinal Cafera. Working for the sanctuary of the marriage in the family will be met with opposition. The ultimate outcome, the message concludes with reassurances that the battle has already been won by the Immaculate Heart of Mary, who has crushed the serpent's head. So it was the marriage and things like that. So, we'll see.
It does seem like a lot of the old values have been, especially now more than ever, under attack. Old traditions,
Right.
whether it's marriage or, God just signed as being an honest person nowadays is almost frowned upon, it feels like,
I usually don't get into religion on the radio, but since the past couple of years, the two parties, it seems to be religion has become focal, or religious issues become focal
Yeah.
in the debate. And so,
I grew up
So I
very
got two
Catholic.
comments here. It's going to be very interesting in drinking.
Yeah,
Get your
right.
popcorn ready. Big Red Dog, that's from Jay. And then Mr. Zimney is spot on when it comes to the running of the school department in drinking.
I stay out of drinking. We do the Saturday show and we'll bring people in, but it's a hotbed over there right now. And when Cliff brought it up, I'm trying to put the puzzle together because I'm not familiar with Drake politics.
Yeah. So,
That might have been the final battle too, that in the apparition.
yeah.
Drake.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'll get you in trouble yet.
You were talking about
None of
religion,
that.
the assassination of Charlie Kirk brought up religious overtones. And then I saw something yesterday in France, which has gone pretty secular. Baptisms have increased 43% over last year.
Yeah.
What's going on in France? Oh, and in the U.S., there are now more men going to church than there are women.
I was reading this
That's a
week.
reverse.
That's a good question.
Demographics, statistics. Those little silver things people hold in their hand and hit the button to
You got a
count?
pink one and a blue one.
Women wear pants all over the world. I've been lucky enough to go to France twice. They wear pants.
Since
I was talking
Since-
about it in the United
Charlie
States.
Kirk, actually, Bible sales have skyrocketed,
More so in the
according to
USA.
reports as well.
To your point, Eileen, from what I was reading, Republican people joining the Republican Party, young people, since Charlie Kirk's assassination, have skyrocketed. A lot of young people are turning to the Republican Party. I don't know, Europe's on fire right now. You look at Ireland, Britain, France, Germany. We talk about immigration here. They want immigration to stop over there, and Ireland, especially Ireland and England, have been a hotbed for anti-immigration policies, along with France and Germany.
Interesting, in England, the Labour Party, which is the ruling party right
Right.
now, popularity is 15%.
Wow, yeah.
It has never been that low.
The world, everyone's looking at the United States and the Trump and the Republicans and Democrats, but in industrial countries in Western Europe and the Americas, this isn't unusual. It's all over. And I'm seeing these films from Ireland where they're afraid that pure Irish blood will be down to nothing in a couple of years. Britain, I guess the fight is over health care and jobs too. They want the immigration to stop. And I always thought there was an agreement between industrial nations as the third world, not the third world, what do they call them now? The countries, the poorer countries, that you would share in the immigration of these countries, so if you're bringing people over. But I think people are fed up.
I just read somewhere that here in the United States, what was it, in like the 90s, it was 5% foreign born, and I think as of 2024, it was 15%
Yeah.
foreign born that we were, so.
I wasn't surprised from what I was reading. Most people in this country now speak Spanish, either through education, but the Spanish population has grown rapidly in this country. And I always laughed because I said, if France had won the 7-Year War, and they were months away from winning that war, we'd be speaking French. And if the Spanish were able to move north a little bit, they had Florida, New Mexico, Havana, Cuba. They had the southern hemisphere. If they ever came north, we'd be speaking Spanish, It's just that the British won the 7-Year War and they settled here, so. And they settled in the area of power, New York, Washington, Boston, Philadelphia.
I read an interesting fact the other day, because I've been studying more on my history a little bit, especially a Mexican. I was born there. So when the Aztecs got overtaken by the Spaniards, they fled north. And they came up here to try to get, like, hey, something bad's coming, let's get in the legions and let's take these guys out. So I guess as soon as the Apache Indians seen them, they just lit them up, took them out. They didn't even give them a chance to because the Aztecs' reputation, obviously, from before, but some people wonder what would have happened if, obviously, they actually sat down, had a conversation, became an elite, and went up against the Spaniards.
It was funny when we did a show with you when you first came on, you had just started reading about the Devil's Brigade or the Riley Brigade. And during the Mexican-American War, and Cliff would know more about this, about 500 Irish soldiers deserted and fought for Mexico. They get down there, and the U.S. Army at the time was very Protestant, very wealthy, the officers. The Irish were immigrants, and they would not treated very well. They went down to Mexico. They could actually go to church. They could go to a Catholic mass. They were marrying the Mexican women. And when they had the opportunity, I forget how many acres of land, 7,000 acres of land, if they came over, about 500 people under John Riley joined the Mexican army and fought against the U.S. I think they hung most of them, but...
So the Spanish beat the Aztecs because they had support of other groups in Mexico, right?
Yes, yes. I just found out recently, so I've always been Mexican. I was born there. I consider myself an Aztec.
Yeah.
The state where I was born, it's the only tribe, so we're Parupechas, the only tribe that when the Aztecs were just taking over everything, when they never defeated the state where I was born. And they tried multiple times, and every time they went in there, they went back home with their tail between their legs. And even when the Spaniards came, the first time it was like, you really want to do this? They walked away, took over the Aztecs, and then when they came back, it was civil war. The leader and his son, the heir, had passed away, so pretty much we're like, we'll stay at allegiance. So the Spaniards never actually conquered the state where I was born. It was just pretty much like, eventually they just kind of assimilated, but we let them in peacefully. So there was never war, but they took over Mexico. I mean, we all know that.
Yeah.
But that state where I was born, neither the Aztecs or the Spaniards were actually able to take it over. And, we didn't lose a single battle back then, which like I said, I've been doing a lot of history just everywhere too, not just Mexico, Ireland, everything, Knowledge is power.
One of the great stories with Mexico is, I picked it up, I just Googled again, Empire of the Summer Moon. A young man by the name of Quannapaca, his mother was abducted as a child. She married an Indian, and he becomes, I think, the last great chief of the Comanches. But that was at the time of the Alamo, so you had the Mexican army in Texas, you had the Texas Rangers starting to grow, an independent movement, and you had the Comanches. And I've had people who Native Americans tell me the Comanches were probably the toughest. Everyone feared them. But Quannapaca, if you ever see that book, Empire of the Summer Moon, grab it. It's probably one of the best, and it involves Mexico because of the Mexican army at the time, the Alamo and so on and so forth. Santana.
Okay.
Yep.
So well, you have my number. Right? Text that to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Empire of the
download it
Summer
or
Moon.
we'll
It's the
figure it
growth
out.
of Texas,
Yeah.
but it's the Mexican army, the Texas Rangers, Sam Houston, and the Comanches.
Yeah.
And they
I
and
find stuff like that fascinating.
Quannapaca is he's the last of the great chiefs down there. So, and he's his mother was abducted as a kid.
So, someone sent me a notice, actually it was Dan O'Connor, that there's a group called Homes for All Massachusetts, and they're trying to get a statewide ballot initiative for rent control. They need 75,000 signatures, so they're looking for people to sign up. Homes for All Massachusetts, and I think it's great that there's this grassroots operation. It's just that they're dead wrong. Rent control will just make our situation worse. What we need is leadership down in my opinion, down on Beacon Hill. They need to build a Levittown here in Massachusetts, outside of 495, put in the connection back into Boston, a highway and real high-speed rail.
Right.
And build simple houses. So they build all those houses, all the walls are painted the same. And, if it's flashing, it's okay. It's just warning you. It's like me. No frills. They need to have, in the design, they need to appoint one person as the no frills officer to make sure that these are simple houses, easy to put together and inexpensive, so a lot of people can buy them. Because in the black community, their intergenerational wealth is less than that of the Caucasians and probably the Asians for that matter, significantly less. So, if I was going to do reparations, it wouldn't be for slavery, it would be for redlining, where in the last century, blacks were excluded from buying houses. We need to reverse that kind of thing.
Right.
We need to have more housing. It's just my personal.
I think you're
preference.
right.
I go as fast as I can over here, boys. The Netherlands are outlawing burqa, forcing assimilation to the Netherlands. Countries are starting to realize when you let in the third world, you become the third world ratio today. This is the back central neighborhood meeting, and they get quite the crowd. Very proud of these people. I've gone to this meeting a bunch of times, and we got 2 city councilors there. We got Kim Scott and Wayne Janess, and moving right along. Very active group. They do a pretty good job, and they meet down across from St. Anthony's Church and St. Anthony's Church Hall, and that's a good crowd.
One final story on Eddie Kennedy. I used to give a tour for the low plan on Back Central, and they gave tours throughout the city, and I did Back Central, and we were walking by St. Anthony's, and I talked to one of the individuals. I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "We can't get a crosswalk painted here." And I said, "I don't know why." He says, "We call and call." So I said, "Wait a minute." So I picked up the phone, I called Eddie Kennedy, and I told Eddie the story. And Eddie's family's originally from Back Central, he was telling me. And about a week later, guess what? They had a new crosswalk painted. That was Eddie Kennedy.
So Marty, we'll be listening to you tomorrow morning. We're all out of time.
We'll be on, yes.
I'll be listening too.
Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you Monday.
See you Monday. Thanks for watching.
Have a
Bye,
good one.
everyone. Have a good
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Bye, Eileen.
Bye, Eileen. Thank you.
9 already.